Rather lads, welcome back to the Kosi Arsenal podcast. My name is Kosi. Welcome back to a brand new video. Arsenal are monitoring the situation of Alexander Isak at Newcastle, and the deal is really going to depend on the new sporting director. Now, Arsenal have been following this deal for quite some time, but today, Florian Plettenberg has come out and confirmed that this deal is the one Arsenal want. He's the one Mikel Arteta wants, and therefore a new sporting director is going to have one of the jobs to do, and that is bringing Alexander Isak at the Emirates Stadium. Now, it makes more sense to me why we didn't go on to sign a good striker in the summer. I think Arsenal are just crazy about Alexander Isak. I think we are just mad over Alexander Isak, and Mikel Arteta has always thought there is a small window, there is a small chance where he can get Alexander Isak if his contract keeps on running down. We're in 2024, his contract runs down in 2028. We'll talk about that, but that means that his contract has got 4 years. Next year in 2025, it will basically mean that his contract has got 3 years to go, and maybe that's a little bit smaller in terms of time remaining on the contract, and maybe Arsenal could go on to negotiate a good deal. Now, I have a problem. The problem I have is I have seen Gyökeres and I have seen Alexander Isak play together in the same team, and I've seen both of them have very good, fantastic seasons. And I will still choose Victor Gyökeres over Alexander Isak for one or two good reasons. One, when they play together, Victor Gyökeres seems like the real striker. He seems like the real forward that you need to finish off your chances. That's number one. And secondly, with Alexander Isak, I kind of feel like Arsenal have explored that type of player in Gyökeres Jesus. And I don't want to say it hasn't worked out, because I remember, I look at the Gyökeres Jesus performance against Nottingham Forest. That wasn't a bad performance. Yes, it wasn't good. I mean, if you're not looking to get onto the score sheet, then that's not a good performance. But I think Arsenal have explored that kind of a player in Gyökeres Jesus. And I'm going to say, I don't want another type like that. But anyway, let's dive into the Alexander Isak story. Let's dive into the striker debate in January, and let's talk about both of them. They're both Swedish international players, really hot prospects on the market. If you get Isak, that's a good deal. That's a good player. But if you get Gyökeres, for me, I think that's even a much better, exciting prospect. So, Florian Plettenberg has come out and said that, as he revealed in a show a few days ago, Arsenal are monitoring the situation surrounding Alexander Isak. The 25-year-old striker is on their shortlist alongside other options. Much will depend on who succeeds Edu in getting this deal done. The contract of Alexander Isak is valid until 2028. As per now, we do not know of any release clauses in that contract, so it looks like it's going to be about your negotiation power between you and Newcastle. If Newcastle can, get you to pay 100 million, then 100% you'll have to pay it. If you can get them to accept around 70 to 80 million, then that's what you'll pay. So there is good news and there is bad news in this story. Let's start off with the good news. The good news is that Arsenal have realized that we need a striker. And it's so bad that we have realized that we need a striker in a situation where we are in dire need. We should have done this 2 years ago. We should have done this 2 summers ago. Like, Gyökeres Jesus, with his versatility, was never going to be a threat for the striker we signed. You could have signed Gyökeres Jesus and signed maybe Alexander Isak and maybe signed Vlahovic or anyone else. We should have signed a striker 2 summers ago. And if we had done that, that striker would have grown at the same pace with the rest of the other players in this team, and it would be absolutely different. Like, really, really different. Imagine if this team right now, with Odegaard, Merino, Rice, and Partey in midfield, and Martinelli, Trossard, and Saka up top, with Gyökeres Jesus backing up Saka. Imagine if this team had a recognizable striker. Just put any recognizable striker, any serviceable striker. Actually, not recognizable, serviceable striker. Even if I put Maximilian Bayer, the one that went to Dortmund last summer, in this team, it works well. So the team, I think Mikel and whoever is advising him, they have now said, oh, shoot, we made a mistake. We should have signed a striker. We should have signed a striker 2 years ago. Can we now start panicking? And the next summer is going to be about, maybe panicking to get a striker. We should have done that earlier. It would have made our season much easier. There's no question we were the favorites to win the Premier League this season. If you look at the points that we have dropped, it shows you that Arsenal were favorites to win the Premier League this season. You lead against City, you lead against Liverpool, you lead against Brighton, and then you drop points in all those games. So that means that if Arsenal were able to add one more goal to those games, because we didn't lose them, we were leading, and we drew the games. So that is number one for me. The team has realized that we need a striker. And I'm going to say this. If it happens in January, it will be an absolute miracle. Because Victor Gyökeres has an agreement with Sporting Lisbon to let him go next summer for around 70 to 80 million euros. I don't think Sporting are going to lose Ruben Amorim, and then they lose Victor Gyökeres as well. And I don't want to hear anyone say, Arsenal think Victor Gyökeres is not good enough. We are not in position to pick on anyone's striker right now. We've not had a decent striker like, I think, last prime Aubameyang. That's when we last had a striker, like around 5 seasons ago. That's when we last had a good striker. Ever since then, it's coming to half a decade, and Arsenal have not had a decent goal scorer, right? So, can we get Alexander Isak? That's the first question. Yes, we can. There are 2 periods here, right? You have the January transfer window. That's going to be very difficult because, we are around 30 days into it and we don't even have a sporting director. And we know if you don't have a sporting director, who is going to sign the players? We don't want the kind of, strategy that Chelsea were using to sign players like Mikhailo Modric, Noni Madueke, and all those, just getting Tony Bolly to sign players. You don't want that. So it's a difficult deal to do in January. Generally, getting a striker in January is not going to be easy. Every single team is going to want to finish their season off well. Sporting, they have won 11 out of their initial 11 games. So, although they don't have Ruben Amorim again, they're thinking, can we go on? Actually, I think they've won 12 out of 12. So, they're thinking, can we go on and win the league title in honor of our manager? He's gone, yes, but he's laid a good foundation. 12 games out of 12, we can go on and win the league, right? So I don't think they're going to agree to lose their manager mid-season and then lose their striker mid-season as well. I think Gyökeres will move in the summer. The other striker options, Alexander Isak, the one we are talking about today, no chance. There is no chance. One, we didn't spend a lot of money in the summer. Actually, I don't know, we were joking in the summer, right? We did great jokes. Netflix is a joke, should have an episode of Arsenal transfer window 2024, right? Because it was an absolute joke. But I also want to say that with Alexander Isak, the profile, the money that is going to be involved, and the importance and value he holds for Newcastle, I don't see him move in January. But why am I optimistic that he's going to move? These are my 2 reasons. One, I think that the player has seen it now. Newcastle and their ship is going on. It's going nowhere. It's really going nowhere. Like, there are times when you're under a project like the Aston Villa project, and it's not about just the players, but also the manager, right? And I think Newcastle, their decision to stick with Eddie Howe is not a bad decision, but it's a mediocre decision. They're 2 different things. You don't have a bad manager in Eddie Howe. He's a very good manager, by the way, but it's a mediocre manager. He's not taking you anywhere. Newcastle will always be behind Chelsea, Tottenham, Liverpool, Man City, Man United, and Arsenal. Those are 6 teams that you're guaranteed to be behind always. And then you have Aston Villa. So that's around 7 teams. So if you're Alexander Isak, why would you want to stay at a team that at its best powers is going to be playing in the UEFA Conference League? Why would you want to be part of that project, right? So either Newcastle promised the players a revolution where you start by sacking the manager, and then you're going to have again another maybe semi squad overall. You're going to have the likes of Joe Willock leave and so many other players. Otherwise, this is not the project that we all thought was going to become of Newcastle when they were taken over by those hedge funds in Saudi Arabia and Qatar. That's not what we expected. We expected them to come and spend money and become the Manchester City of this world. I mean, technically, or maybe not technically, but in reality, they have the world's richest owners in football. So that's one reason why I think Arsenal could get Alexander Isak. It's about, can you go and give him the project proposal that is far better than what Newcastle are looking at? Because if you're Alexander Isak and you are a generational talent, you're in your prime, 25 years of age, what do you want? You want to be part of a project that is going to have memories and photos that are relevant in the next 10, 15 years. And that means you holding some silverware. And I think Arsenal will be holding some silverware starting this season. I think the Carabao Cup could be ours. I don't know. But the whole point I'm trying to say is I think we have a much better project than Newcastle, and therefore we can get him. The other reason as to why I think Arsenal can get Alexander Isak is I think there is a financial problem at Newcastle, and they tried to gamble around it last summer. Whether that worked out well or it didn't, we will never know, I guess. But what we know is that they didn't really add any kind of quality that they would have wanted or that we expected. So I think Newcastle will need to offload one of their big name projects, right? Big name players, big name investments in order to reinvest in the squad. That could be Alexander Isak. Because think about it. Tonali, no one is giving you 80 million. Gyökeres, probably Manchester City now will be hungrier for him. They'll give you around 70, 75 million. But Alexander Isak is the one that you're going to say 100 million right on the table. Now, here's my problem. Is Alexander Isak really the profile that Arsenal are looking for? That is it a profile that our statistics are yearning for? I think football has gone to a level where it's no longer about signing the best player that is there. I mean, Sir Alexander Chairman Ferguson used to do it. Just go and sign Berbatov. If you look at the strikers he signed over the years, Ferguson, they were not even correlated in any way. Look at Tevez. Look at Berbatov. Look at Van Persie. Then look at Rooney. Then look at someone like Louis Saha. Like very, very different profiles, and they worked. Why? Because for me, I think football 10 years ago, 15 years ago, was about if you have a good striker, doesn't matter what kind of striker it is, they'll do the job. But more and more, football has become about numbers. It has become about statistics, right? It has become about what are the numbers saying. And what Arsenal's numbers are saying, we are not in shortage of false nines. Trossard is there, Havertz is there, Jesus is there. We are short in terms of a serious nine. And this data can be backed for up to 5 years. So that's why I think that Gyökeres for me would be the option. And I don't know why Arsenal are trying to shun. It's Mikel Arteta. It's not Arsenal. It's Mikel Arteta. I don't know why he's trying to shun away from the idea of, yes, let's do a Victor Gyökeres signing. Because one thing I love about Pep is At times he's straightforward. At times you cannot predict his moves. Like he can go and sign Jeremy Doku. He can go and sign Savinho. Can go and sign like you might look at the market and say, okay, Pep Guardiola is going to take on Lamine Yamal or he's going to take on Nico Williams. And Manchester City were never ever linked with Nico Williams, by the way, never ever. So he can be unpredictable. But then there are times where he's predictable, and at times you need to be predictable because at times predictable is good. The way Manchester City went and got Erling Haaland, proven goal scorer, it worked. Why don't we go and get Victor Gyökeres? Proven goal scorer, it might work. So with Alexander Isak, I have my problems. Yes, he's Premier League proven, but is he this guy that is consistently going to be banging in goals? Is he hungry to score goals? Really? No. I don't think he's the kind of striker that doesn't score and he doesn't sleep. I think he would go to bed, cover himself, and feel warm, even if he goes five games without a goal. I think Gyökeres, on the other side, is the kind of striker who goes 60 minutes without a goal inside a game and is like, what am I doing wrongly? I love the expression on Erling Haaland's face when he's not yet scored. He's like, damn, time is running out. You need that kind of striker. Van Persie had turned into that. And that's why we loved him during the later days of his career. He had turned into that guy who, whenever he's on the pitch, he expects to score. Anyway, Alexander Isak on the radar. Who's going to be our new sporting director? I pray that it's Luis Ocampos, because if it's Ocampos, then there's a massive chance. There's a massive chance that our transfer strategy is going to remain the same. It's going to be even better if you get a guy like that. I like Monty, but I don't think we're going to get Monty. But I think Ocampos is a massive shout.